As our audience today well know that the topic of today's discussion is Sanatan Dharma. I'm extremely flattered and feeling blessed to have this opportunity and explicit my views over such this precious matter. Let us begin. If we split the words and say, then Sanatan means something which is eternal, immortal, perpetual, whereas Dharma means something which is to be owned, adopted, accepted, and in fact digested and get it absorbed within your personality, your mentality, and your life as well. As Dharma of fire is to burn, of water is to wet, of sun is to light, and what darkens is the night. Similarly, the 7 original virtues of soul, that is, knowledge, purity, love, happiness, peace, power, and bliss. This is the true Dharma of every soul, and actually every soul possesses these virtues inherently. But as the sword, which is unused for a long duration, loses its sharpness, as misusing of the eyes for a longer duration snatches the eyesight, as the non-functioning of the tools of even an expensive machinery makes that machine of no use at all, and just as a baby born to an educated parents unfortunately departs from them and reaches to a wild society will definitely become similar to these uncivilized members. Similarly, we all are subjected to the same condition, the memory loss, a great memory loss. Today, just listening the word Sanatan, an image comes to all of our mind, as if something like myths, blind faiths, dogmas, taboos, idol worship, karmakanda, etc. First of all, we committed the major mistake that we forgot our true identity, our true nature. And secondly, we had never been curious and responsible to know and learn that to what extent this cultural civilization with concern to Sanatana Yuga proved to be beneficial for the entire humanity. See, that vicious time came on our Mother Earth, when not only our assets, the Veda and Upanishads were criticized and abandoned in our own society, rather also the wicked attackers, the Mughals, tried their best in making maximum adulterations in our scriptures, bringing the selfish and so-called pundits of the time, which with the lapse of time successfully resulted in creating the gaps between the various communities living happily all together earlier. This whole monopoly of Mughals succeeded in sowing the seeds of bitterness into the already weakened hearts of we Bharatians by tolerating the previous 200 years of slavery of the Britishers. The biggest trauma it created was influencing the mind and heart of the spouses and altering the framework of the relationships and ultimately of our society. Monogamy and monoentry. It had been a very normal tradition amongst the Bharatians. It gradually distorted and created the attraction towards the external marital affairs, and this enforced the spouse to become disloyal towards one another and become more and more superficial in the family matters. The natural feeling of oneness, devotion, and love for one another gradually centered into the physical level, which began irrigating the land of curse, violence, and suspicions. And over this vicious land of lust and doubt, slowly formed such a mansion which had no stability and no credibility. It was very easy to allure the attention of such already distracted minds, and thus such a fragile mansion of a confused society was not difficult to be broken by the greedy and cruel foreign invaders, be it the Britishers or the bigot Mughalians and Arabians. So, if I say in gist, when considering and accepting ourselves as the soul and situating the soulful sense and recognizing the forgotten but inherent values of our true existence is the actual explanation of Sanatan Dharma. See, it's really a very relevant topic in present time for present generation. This utility of Sanatan Dharma Charcha in present generation could be understood just with a single fact that despite the innumerable inventions and discoveries, the entire generation of human race today is under the clasp of the corona pandemic. Actually, what happens is that over the wall of the mansion of the society, the jokes of indecency, inhumanity, insensitivity, and insincerity keeps on falling continuously and constantly, but invisibly. The minor breaks even keeps on appearing in the form of the cracks. But the dilemma is this: we neither have the sense of respect nor the sense of responsibility towards our own social decorum. That's the reason that we even can't pay our attention towards these crevices. And when we don't pay the attention at all, then the probability of these cracks to get even more deeper and finally one day to fall down is actually certain. So the same has happened with the present generation also. We not only failed in guiding the community, which is since the centuries called as marriage, but also we remained unsuccessful in satisfying our own Hindu community with all its Vedic and spiritual aspects. That's the reason that today we are happily getting converted into different religions. We are easily today accepting Muslim and Christianity religions. Reason is only one, that we ourselves got failed in introducing the true face of our Sanatan culture in front of those immature and innocent guys. Whereas we all better know about our history, how our great nation preservers like Tegh Bahadur Ji, Banda Bairagi Ji, Guru Govind Ji, and many more sacrificed their life into the brutal hands of the cruel Muslim attackers and those cunning Britishers too. But still they didn't agree to accept their religion, isn't it? At the security borders of our country, how meanly the neighbor country's so-called warriors' behavior. They cut our soldiers' neck, tag their skin with the cigarette, and much more cheap activities they do, And we today are totally busy with the gratification of our own senses. We are busy in earning money and gaining our own personal security. What to expect for the nation, the state, or our own society? People forget their blood relatives. We try to shake hand only with them who nourish their ego and flourish their pockets. I think watching the movies like Urta Punjab, a sensible youth can better estimate the condition all around. How wired is the condition? Crores and crores of people have caught up. The drug addiction, the wastage of money and life is unimaginable. If we reserve our cultural assets into the custody of temples, into the hands of the pandits only, then it's quite obvious that our generation will get oriented towards the other directions only. This is quite natural. It's well said that empty mind is devil's workshop. So, no doubt, this topic is very relevant. Because, today's generation, it is full of doubts, full of suspense. We think that both science and spirituality, these two are opposite poles. But that's not true. They also feel that whatever inventions and developmental revolutions are made, that is all done by the foreigners. They also think that the religions, this is the core base for all the disputes and wars that happened in the history. But they don't know that the evidences for this too. See, in the book Encyclopedia of Wars, the researchers Charles Phillips and Alan Axelrod declared that of over 1763 wars till now, 1763 wars till now, hardly 123 were those which aroused as a result of some religious dispute. Rest all were for proving their own power and authority. The famous physicist Sir Hiezenberg of Germany clearly stated that those who are unaware of Vedic physics, they can't understand his quantum theory. This innocent guy also thinks that moving on to the path of religion and spirituality will result into no progress, no advancements. But they don't know. In a book, 100 Years of Nobel Prize by Baruch Abashalov, it is clearly depicted with full evidences that the contribution in the field of science and inventions is more of the spiritual religious researchers belonging to one or the other, religions. As per the date from 1901 to the year 2000, 654 laureates, that is around 90%, belong to one or the other known religions. This is a very big incident related to two Russian young men who coincidentally came across the Bhagavad Gita and found it too enticing that they read it completely with full interest and faith. And finally, they decided to become core devotees of Lord Krishna. They also decided to awake and inspire others also. That Bhagavad Gita is the best religious book in the entire world. And these two men were Vivasakis Ahanjanya and Gagik Bontian. These two innocent guys took this risk in a country where the kingdom is of communist. That is Russia. It's a totally communist country. The result was expected. In a communist country, who was going to believe their words and who was going to accept that pious and divine dharma. Ultimately, the Russian government decided to imprison these two young men, and they paid all the cruelty they could pay on them to break their resolution of being vegetarian and their faith on Lord Krishna. Despite their statement and their argument, their request that at no cost they are going to leave this dharma, divine dharma, and becoming the most, and they're not at any cost, they are not going to accept any non-veg material. Still, Russian government continued torturing them with all sorts of brutality. And not only this, for all 730 days of these 2 years of imprisonment, they were served only 2 plates of third-class quality and a cup of fish soup, of which fish soup they never ingested, and they just sustained over those 2 breaths for these 2 years. So this is really very pathetic, and this way we can understand that really this topic, discussion on Sanatan Dharma and the relevance of accepting this dharma and propagating its introduction amongst our generations, is really very important in the need of the time. See, this is quite obvious that the Sanatan Dharma, which since many eras had been serving and securing the humanity and civilization, definitely the one who adopts it completely in one's life is naturally going to lead a very peaceful and satisfactory life. It's not that those who keep faith on God and religion, and who walks on the path of truth and honesty, doesn't face any difficulty or struggle in their life. Your past karmic accounts and present world's competitive pressure directly leaves, no doubt, directly leaves the suppressive impact on one's mind. But, as it is well said, that dharmam rakshati rakshitaha, so the one who enters the path of truth and morality, that this morality only raises up your confidence to infinite level, and therefore indirectly provides a tool to uphold the challenges with very, very patience, intelligence, and ultimately success too. And these challenges can be, there are family disputes of any disease, any accident, any trauma, any injury, maybe financial insecurities, or maybe of social exclusion, or even of this corona itself, right? So really, the Sanatan Dharma, if our generation is accepting and adopting, then no doubt it is going to be very, very fruitful for them. Okay, so how much time it takes to a person to imbibe all the texts and strategies related to spirituality? Fine. So it all just depends on his or her devotion and faith actually. Devotion and faith. Firstly, we need to understand that what is the meaning of spirituality. Usually people presume that the various castes, creeds, beliefs, ideology, this is what actually is spirituality. But this is not so. Sanatan Dharma is basically one only. It means the one for all religions, for all the castes, for all the communities, and all the eras of coming time. Whichever society the person took birth, he or she would be equally spiritual, no doubt. And actually, truth is that unless one is a spiritual, he must not declare himself to be the follower of any religion, right? Because the spirituality teaches us humanity, and unless we are human, we have no right to call ourselves religious. Now we speak in jest, that the one who is more closer to the existence and feels of the spirit is actually spiritual. So the one who is sensible, is loving, is kind, caring, and friendly for all, he or she is spiritual in all the terms, real terms. So the one for whom the entire world is family doesn't need any special strategy for becoming an ascetic person. Okay? Yes, this is a very important question really. How a person can proceed into the journey of self-transformation and successfully become an ideal person. See, the answer to this question is very concise and up to the point. Have an overall look outside. Observe the entire scenario. Analyze the external conditions, and you will realize that the human race is on right path or the wrong path. Let's forget about the very reputable compliments like we are the angels, we are the great souls, we are deities, we are very good and belonging to the family of God, we are messengers of God, we are divine messengers, and so on. See, initially it seems impractical and frightening for us to think and accept about all such dignified words. So let us do one thing. Let's stand in front of the mirror and ask ourselves who we are. Ask yourself who you are. Of course, your conscience would at least get ready to accept this answer. I am a human being, isn't it? Yeah, you are a human being. That's it. This is what the solution is actually. We must not forget at least that we are human beings, and our foremost religion is only and only humanity. And whatever lifestyle helps in fulfillment of this humanity is actually the true culture, true civilization. Rest everything is only and only distraction, total distraction. Yes, of course. After this long conversation over the Sanatan Dharma topic, it is quite obvious that my listeners, my viewers might be waiting for the last words also, yes. I want to give you just one message because it's really very important for you all to remember this. Friends, we all are playing our roles over this world stage, but always remember that the key to the attitude in which we perform our role, we make our performance, this is in our own hands only and not in the hands of any supreme director, any supreme power. Yeah, being the supreme director, he is already fulfilling his role in directing the controlled movements of various planets and constant formation of stars and galaxies, right? Already performing his role. So just imagine, what if the key of our destiny was in the hands of God only? Then obviously no sort of disturbances in the nature would have created and the world would have been noticed. No man and no animal would have crossed any obstacles and faced any of the sufferings, right? So if in the life, for any of the success and achievement which we appreciate ourselves, for any of the loss and sufferings we blame the supreme power, then this is a very big example of selfishness. It's very important to have balance and integrity in life. Must also keep in mind that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And must never forget that no matter how eminent and attractive personality we are, how successful and popular we are, the ultimate source of all our beauty, our power, our praises, our prestige, our intelligence, it is no one else rather the divine supramental conscience. So, for whom we call God, Allah or Bhagwan, He is the only source. So in life, neither you get egoistically hurt, nor you get depressed with a feeling of insecurity at any of the cost. At any of the cost, do not take the step of ending up the life. This is my last message to you all. Never try to take this step to end up your life under any sort of insecurity or depression, because life only gives us everything. Life only gives us everything, but nothing can give us back this life. Life is really wonderful, really most precious. So just live it very safely and very carefully. Wish you all the best. God bless you all.